The Covenant Empire in Halo was a vast multi-species empire within the Orion arm of the Milky Way, and whilst at first the empire began as a union of the Sanshoum and Sangheli people, putting an end to decades of war for the sake of their mutual religious veneration of the ancient Forerunner civilization, the Covenant would expand to conquer and integrate at least 6 other client species into their empire. Each of these client species had something valuable to offer the Covenant, whether it be the technological and Forerunner knowledge possessed by the Huragok, or the cheap labour and easy cannon fodder offered up by the Ungoys. There are, however, a number of other lesser-known species that fall under the dominion of the Covenant. These species offer some minor benefit or advantage for the Covenant, but are either too few in number or otherwise too insignificant to become a full client species of the Covenant. As such, the Covenant keeps these civilizations at an arm's length, treating them more like tools and instruments than fellow citizens of the Empire. These groupings of lesser-known civilizations would come to be known as the Fringe, and they would tend to remain either on their own homeworlds or remote corners of the galaxy, each under the supervision of Sanshoum executors and a local retinue of Kigyar enforcers. When a team of Covenant relic hunters travelled to the ocean world of Rem, they expected to discover a treasure trove of Forerunner artifacts within the ancient Forerunner cities that had sunk below the ocean that now covered the entirety of the planet. To their surprise, however, these cities were inhabited by a species known as the Dazreme, or Sirens as they would come to be known to humanity. This enigmatic aquatic species learnt to repurpose Forerunner technology to create a thriving civilization in the depths of Rem. Around 5 to 7 foot tall and covered in a wide array of coloured scales, the Dazreme are a strong, resilient and highly intelligent race that managed to broker a deal with the Sanshoum, in which the Sanshoum gained access to the Dazreme's unique knowledge of Forerunner tech. The Sanshoum also went to great lengths to hide the existence of Rem and the Dazreme, even from the other Covenant species. These lengths included the execution of entire crews that visited Rem, to avoid any knowledge of the planet getting out. A civilization native to the small moon Yonhet, Smugglers or Yonhet, to use their official name, were a resourceful species that somewhat resembled humans, except with 4 nostrils and a set of gills along their jawline. Upon their discovery by the Covenant, the Yonhet's lack of military and their meagre population meant that they had little value as a full species within the Covenant Empire. Their inherent talents for trade, smuggling and artifact hunting, however, indicated to the Sanshoum missionaries that the Yonhet could have some value. The Yonhet would be employed by the Covenant to scour abandoned worlds and transport discovered relics. This was despite what could be described as only a faint adherence to the Covenant worship of the Forerunners. Taking advantage of the chaos caused following the Covenant's collapse, many Yonhet have begun seeking opportunities to progress and thrive in the galaxy, making contracts to trade with and smuggle for the various Covenant splinter factions. The hulking behemoths that are Sharquoi are perhaps the most fearsome of the Covenant's fringe species. Measuring around 16 foot tall, the Sharquoi dwarf even the hunters employed by the Covenant. They stand on 2 thick trunk-like legs, are covered in a tough leathery grey skin, spread taut over corded muscle. 2 jagged bone spikes protrude from their hands, and a row of razor-sharp teeth fill their mouth. In place of eyes, the Sharquoi have a bony ridge in the centre of their head that allows for echolocation and communication. While they are relatively unintelligent, multiple Sharquoi are capable of pooling together their cognitive resources to act as a single entity horde, acting in unison. Whilst this all makes the Sharquoi sound like the perfect close combat shock troop, the Sharquoi are only employed in battle in the most dire of situations. This is due to their tendency to obliterate everyone on the battlefield, no matter whether they are a friend or foe. The Sharquoi's speed, ferocity and resilience, even against the Flood, once made them a useful weapon for the Forerunners in their war against the Flood parasites.